to the Father, we've made it this far. Thanks to the Father, we know who we are.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, David, we made it 9 months later.
I'm not up there yet.
I went up after the service Sunday night. I went looking for him, and I said, he said, I'm feeling good so far. I said, good, I hope it stays that way. We did, David has accepted our invitation twice to speak to our breakfast, and so we're so honored and pleased that you're here with us this morning. On January 12th of last year, the Baptist General Convention of Texas Executive Board elected David Hardage to serve as the convention's executive director. At the time, Dr. Hardage was serving as Director of Development for George W. Truett Theological Seminary and interim pastor at First Baptist Church, Waxahachie. He previously has served as Executive Director of the Waco Regional Baptist Association. He has pastored First Baptist Church of Sulphur Springs, First Baptist Church of Holiday, and First Baptist Church of Blum, all in Texas, as well as First Baptist Church of Weatherford, Oklahoma. He's also served as interim pastor at churches including Columbus Avenue Baptist Church in Waco, First Baptist Church in Huntsville, and First Baptist Church in Bryan. In addition, Dr. Hardage has served as chairman of the BGCT State Missions Commission, chairman of the BGCT Missions Funding Committee, and a trustee at East Texas Baptist University, as well as Latham Springs Camp and Retreat Center. Dr. Hardage earned his bachelor's degree from Baylor University, Master of Divinity from Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, didn't hear any amens on that, and a doctorate from Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Kansas City, Missouri. Dr. Hardage is married to Kathleen, a retired school teacher. They have 2 children, John, an attorney in Dallas, married to Melissa, and Rebecca, a marketing manager in Austin. Again, David, we're pleased to have you with us today. Come speak to us.
Well, I am honored to be here, and I'm glad I'm able to be here, so thank you for that. I hope that doesn't fall off. Anyway, thank you, Bill, for the invitation again. And like I told you yesterday, since I started this work for Texas Baptist, I really have been sick one day in 18 months, and that was last year. But Wesley, thank you for stepping in and doing such a wonderful job. And I know to pinch hit like that on a last minute notice is challenging, but you did it, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm thankful to be here today, and thankful for Bill for the invitation. Bill comes by the office about once a quarter, and we just sit down and visit and go over things, and appreciate his willingness to do that, and he knows that he always has an open door there for in my office to come by and visit, or with Steve Vernon as well. So Bill, please continue to come by and visit, and we will look forward to those times in the future. And it's just good to be here with so many people I know and friends, my former colleagues here at Truett Seminary, and just cherish them and that institution so very much. And so thank you all for being here. Right, so close. I don't know how much they had to pay for that table, Bill, but I'm very impressed. I do want to talk just a little bit about some of our work going forward. So this is about an update on some things happening in Texas Baptist life, as much as anything else. But you all know that any one of you can call, email, write, come by anytime. Always happy to talk with you and visit with you, and hope you'll do that. So the door's open, and please come by. Now, as far as our work going forward, I think I'll start with a little bit about what has already been said here regarding from Wesley and from Bill in terms of the local church issue and Texas Baptist. I had thought for some time, long before I ever came into this position, that we, BGCT, we're not being nearly aggressive enough when it comes to the whole process of pastor search. And so last August we started what we call in our building, and you've heard it here today, the Church Connection Team. And the idea behind all of that is fairly simple. Using the connections we have through our congregational strategists around the state, and there are 9 of those, and using the connections we have already from our church starters around the state, and there are 9 of those, plus others in the building. The general principle is when a church has a pastor that leaves, we want to be on the doorstep. And we want to be there to help them in that process of pulpit supply. You know, that very first Sunday, they're not too worried about who will be the next pastor. A lot of them are worried about who will preach next Sunday. So we want to be there with pulpit supplies. And then right there, able to provide quality candidates to serve as interims or intentional interims, depending which process a church may choose. And then we do want to be right there providing quality Texas Baptist candidates for pastor. Dr. Joe Laughlin was enlisted to head up that whole work for us. And he now leads that. In the exhibit hall, you can go meet him and meet the others now serving there. Carl Fickling serves in that team. Lorenzo Pena serves on that team as he works with the associations around Texas. And we're making a couple of more changes in that probably in the coming days and weeks, adding some additional support to that. And I say all that to tell you it is our intention as Texas Baptists to be aggressive when it comes to that. Again, we will not insert ourselves into that process, but we will be aggressively available to help churches. And that's where your network, we will count as valued friends and partners in that whole process. So I just want you to know about that and bring you up to speed on that just a little bit. Let me talk just a couple of moments here about the Christian Life Commission and where we are in that regard. And I really can't talk about the Christian Life Commission without saying a couple of words of commendation. First to Farrell Foster, who is here. Farrell, would you stand, please? Farrell has stepped in as the interim director of the CLC and has served Texas Baptist remarkably well. And I say that in private, and I have no hesitation saying that in public. So Farrell, thank you very much. We could not have done what we've done as Texas Baptists this whole past legislative session and special session were it not for Stephen Reeves. Stephen, would you stand up, please? Stephen Reeves is the Director of Public Policy and just a valued part of Texas Baptist life. And I don't say that lightly, I say that deeply. Thank you both. Our search for the next director just kind of been on a holding pattern until a couple of things happened. One, we were able to get past this legislative session. In order to do all that, because of Susie's departure, and she set all of this in place with Farrell and Stephen, we really had to, and in some ways overextended ourselves financially a little bit to enlist some additional, and I know I'm not supposed to use the word lobbyist, so to speak, but to enlist some additional lobbyists to walk through some and walk with us and carry some issues for us. And so Stephen was right there. Farrell made weekly trips to Austin, but along with these new partners to kind of walk through all of that with us through the legislative session. And so financially, we were just in a position where we had to get all of that done. And then this particular meeting required a lot of our time, and as wonderful as this is to have a meeting like this in a place like this, it is financially a stretch for Texas Baptist. Now, we've been able to make it all happen, and I'm pleased about that, but we needed to get past this convention as well. But that process of searching for that next director will get underway very soon, and I hope by January the 1st, when we have our new budget things ready to go and we're in place there, that we'll be doing all of that with a new director of Christian Life Commission, and along the way, we'll reposition that person in our executive leadership and be excited about the way all that's going to unfold. But I wanted you to just have a little update on all of that and be aware of all that, and to invite you, not that you need an invitation, certainly, some of you certainly haven't needed an invitation, to provide insight and direction and candidates for that, but please, you're invited to do that, and we hope that you will. The CLC is a significant part of Texas Baptist life and always will be, and going forward, that is not and will not change for us. And probably the role of the CLC in the future may even be enhanced some, just because of the way Texas is changing. And it's hard to keep up with the rapid rate of change in Texas. I know that I keep pointing Stephen and Farrell out, but the three of us happened to be at a meeting last night. It's the African American Fellowship dinner, but they had a professor from the University of Louisville who is a futurist come and talk about the way our lives are changing, and it was extraordinary to start with, but almost overwhelming. And so if the way life is changing and the way Texas is changing, the CLC will be a significant part of our future. And so I wanted you to know that. I also wanted to bring you up to date just a little bit on this whole issue with the Baptist building. So let me make sure you know, we didn't put the Baptist building on the market, although some have suggested that we do that. And that's the honest truth. I've had a number of people, long before I even was in this position, talk about that issue. And but we were approached about the possibility of Baylor University, on behalf of the Baylor University School of Nursing, with the support of the Baylor Hospital System, about buying our Baptist building, you know where it sits, you all know, have been there, for a new nursing school. Now, let me talk about that whole scenario just a little bit. When I first got the phone call about that and said, would you be willing to sell the Baptist building? Well, it's not my decision to start with, but my response was, well, our Baptist building's not for sale, but it could be purchased. And so we just kind of started with that. But then we've learned other things. One of the things we've learned is that, and part of it has to do with the merger of the Baylor Health System and Scott and White, but the Baylor Hospital System, and I don't want to speak for Joel Allison, but I will say they do have big plans for the future, and I'll just leave it at that. They have big plans for the future. The other part about that is the changing and ever-changing moving target world of healthcare. And one of the things that has already been fairly clearly identified in that whole healthcare world is that going forward, there is going to be a significant need for nursing care, maybe even a higher level of skilled nursing care. And I'm not in that healthcare business, or I hardly speak that language. But that means that our Texas Baptist nursing schools I'm all for them. They need to produce more nurses who have a Christian calling about them. And the Baylor School of Nursing is part of that whole issue. Right now they have about 30,000 square feet. Our building has about 100,000 square feet. The dormitory that is connected to the nursing school now has been condemned. And so there are issues down there that, that they deal with. And so that was the motivating factors behind all of that. And so I'm just kind of putting it all out there for you. So they called and asked if we'd be open to that possibility. We come and we talked about that to our executive board, and you know, I think the general consensus was, actually it's the unanimous consensus of the executive board was, let's be open and to see if this is something that God would have for us. And if so, then we'll think creatively about the future and what that might hold for Texas Baptist. What that is going to be in the future, I don't know. My anticipation would be that if we were to sell that building, and that's still a long way from happening, if it were to happen, I think the chances of us all being together as a Baptist building staff in one place are probably less likely. I would imagine just something, maybe just as an idea that's been floated out there, that you perhaps could, and we'd pray about and discuss the idea of maybe 3 or 4 locations, maybe along the I-35 corridor, where Texas is growing so rapidly and so quickly, including maybe some kind of decent presence here in San Antonio. If you look at just the demographics of our state, just if you drew a line across the middle of Texas, other than the Metroplex, most of our growth is south. And so, all that to say, we'll be thinking about and praying about and trying to do the right thing in regards to all of that. Your insight there, your wisdom in that regard would be helpful. And we'll just see what happens. You know, that's where that is. But I don't have any secrets about it, so I just wanted to put it out there and let you know it's kind of where we are. It may be a window of opportunity to think out of the box about our life in different ways, and if so, then we'll do that. Texas is different. Texas Baptist life is different. It will be different 10 years now, much more so than it is even today. And so we'll try to be a group that responds to those changes. Let me say a word about our Texas Baptist Hunger Offering going forward. But I'll speak to the past just a little bit, but the recent past. I was attending my very first ever Baptist World Alliance meeting in Washington, D.C. this past, I don't know if it was late February or early March, and who walks in the door but Farrell Foster? And so we're just kind of talking, and this whole hunger issue came up, and the hunger offering came up, and before we had finished talking, we decided that it might be great for Texas Baptist to set aside not only just those Sundays with the those months with the 5 Sundays in them for special hunger offerings, but what if we did something really strategic and focused on Mother's Day as an offering day that might inspire our Texas Baptist people to give extra to meet the needs of the hungry in our state and beyond. And then the idea was, well, we can do that in 2014, and Farrell and I just kind of talked about it and said, you know, do we always have to wait 12 months or 15 months to do something good? Do we always have to just sit back and plan something so far in advance? Why can't we just put it out there right now, and whatever we get will be a blessing to, you know, people are going to be hungry next year, sure, but they're hungry today. And so we just put it out there and did the best we could in just a couple of months' time to get the word out to as many Texas Baptists as possible that we're going to have a special Texas Baptist hunger offering on Mother's Day. And our people responded. Now the truth is, the disaster in West, the tornadoes in Cleburne and Granbury and Moore, all had Texas Baptist people taking up special offerings for those things, and as they should have. But even in the midst of all of that, our Texas Baptist churches on Mother's Day gave over $250,000 for a Texas Baptist hunger offering. Now our goal was $1 million. Next year our goal will be $1 million. The year after that the goal will be $1 million. And I'm fairly hopeful one of these days we're going to be able to stand before Texas Baptist and say, on Mother's Day, Texas Baptist gave over $1 million to the Texas Baptist hunger offering. And I hope you will go back and be an advocate for that in your church. We have a great ministry going there, and I'll be going to the luncheon today in that regard. But I wanted you to know kind of how that happened, and going forward, that'll be an emphasis for us. And I think it's something Texas Baptists can get their arms and minds around, and hopefully their pocketbooks. Two other quick things. A change was made in the whole Elder Statesman Award. You all, as Texas Baptist Committee people, knew and have been involved in the Elder Statesman Award for all these years. But we got word this past January that the Elder Statesman Award was going away. That the group that had been leading that was the award that was given to a Texas Baptist leader who had made a positive impact in Texas Baptist education for years, but that was just not, they were not going to be able to sustain giving that award in the future. And so in conversations that I had with Bill Arnold back here and Dr. Alan Lefevre, we think, just don't let that award go away. We still need to recognize Texas Baptists who made a significant impact in our work, and so we just reestablished something, and we've called it the Texas Baptist Legacy Award. And this past January at the Independence Church, we kept a lot of the things the same. We'll still be at the Independence Church, that oldest Baptist church in continual existence in Texas. It'll still be there the first Sunday of every June. And Bob Feather from Dallas and Wilma Reed from Cleveland were our first recipients. We changed some things up. We don't just recognize one person now. It'll probably be 2, maybe 3, sometimes perhaps 4 in the future, but at least 2 people every year. I know you pastors only have a few Sundays a year that you can be away, but I also know as a pastor, lay people, you don't seem to be held by those same standards. The freedom you exercise in being gone on a Sunday is, I have a greater appreciation for that now. Nonetheless, we would love to have you come to Independence and the old church for the Texas Baptist Legacy Award. It is about remembering who we were. It is about acknowledging who we are. And it is about laying a groundwork for what we're going to be in the future. And Texas Baptist Committed, there's not a group in our state who kind of falls in the pattern of that, of who we were and who we are and what we're going to be than this group. And so I wanted Bill to invite you all to come and be a part of that Texas Baptist Legacy Award. And so please do that. Now, if any of you have heard me speak in the last 17 and a half months, you know I always end on this. It's generosity. Texas Baptist, it is absolutely essential. I don't think it's optional, frankly. It's essential that we raise up a fresh spirit of generosity among our people. And when we speak of generosity, just like I said yesterday, we do talk about it in terms of a lifestyle. And I mentioned yesterday the way Texas Baptists responded to West with their time and with their talent. It was extraordinary. Over 650 Texas Baptists in the city of West over the course of 5 days. The same thing is happening here soon in our Loving Oklahoma week. And you know what? Texas Baptists are going to respond to that, even in Oklahoma. We will do that. Let me say to you, generosity of time and talent and treasure, we must secure our financial future. as Texas Baptist committed. Now, Bill and I talked about that endowment award in my office a while back, and that the endowment that you are establishing. And he didn't ask me to do this, but I will reinforce the need for you to be prayerfully considering supporting that endowment for Texas Baptist Committed. But we have other people here from Texas Baptist Life as well, our institutions, Truett, DBU, and others I see, Hardin Simmons, and I don't want to leave anybody out. I know Howard Payne's here and some others, but all of you, our institutions need you to be generous. Now, my personal testimony is, I believe that, and Kathleen and I believe that it is our responsibility to be tithers. I was raised that way, but we believe that. But I'll tell you what we also believe. We believe that it's our responsibility to be stewards of what God has blessed us with, not only in life, but at death. And so, just in our modest means that we have, we've already established an endowment fund to a Baptist cause we believe in, so that our life and our legacy and our ministry will go on. And I'm asking every one of you to do the same thing. It'll be different for all of us. But whatever God puts in your heart, whatever you're passionate about, for some of you, that's going to be Texas Baptist Committed. But you can do that. I see Albert over here. We could establish the Texas Baptist. We have the resources right now to financially secure the future of Buckner. If you look 2.2 million Texas Baptists, and the resources that are out there, and the resources that are becoming available even today in Texas because of the tremendous things happening in oil and gas, it's extraordinary. But would you prayerfully consider a cause you believe in Texas Baptist Life? Now, Bill Arnold is here from our Texas Baptist Missions Foundation. They're set up to talk with you about gifts. That's what they do. All you have to do is contact them. And they'll talk with you about your gifts at Texas Baptist Committed. That's no problem. This is a family affair. They're happy to do all of that. But I'm just encouraging you to give generously in life and at death. All of us can do something. Kathleen and I, we want to make sure our legacy goes on. Our ministry continues. We want to touch more lives for Jesus after we've died than when we're alive. We think that's possible. All right, thank you for the time, Bill. And thank you that I've made it through this process here. I'm in one piece, and I'm happy to be a part of it. God bless you. Thank you so much.